What's going on, guys? Got quite a few people, Ryan Coe being the first, asking me about the dreaded tight front, the 4i 0-4i. So today I want to take a shot at it and give a few tips to the zone run teams as well as the gap run teams, and hopefully I can spark a new idea for you. Let's hop into it. So the tight front, the 4i, the 0, the 4i, a three-man front, and I'll put a picture up on the screen, which was kind of created to be able to stop some of the spread. I got first introduced to the tight front last year from a couple coaches down in Texas when we were talking about the whole defense that Iowa State is playing with their three safeties, mainly and predominantly known as the star safety being their middle guy. So obviously if you're going to take a safety and move him back, we're going to only have a three-man down front, and you're going to be more limited in terms of linebackers. So in terms of the tight front, I think a couple big things that it really does is it really creates challenges for power teams to be able to run B-gap to B-gap. And if you're pulling a guard, it forces your center to have to block all the way back on a defensive end, which is obviously a long way for him to go. I think there are a couple different strategies that I'm going to give you that could hopefully help you out if you're a zone or you're a gap team. The big thing that I think we need to remember about the tight front is it's not necessarily going to be a front where you're going to be able to get that much pressure because you naturally have the two defensive ends stashed inside in the B gap. Now there are variations where you can move them into a 5 or end up bringing a hanger off of the edge and stuff like that, but predominantly when you look at the tight front, it's not something that's going to be utilized in order to get a distinct amount of pressure on the quarterback. So the first thing I think we can really do with this front in order to hopefully help us a little bit more on offense is we can utilize what I like to call smart splits. And oftentimes that's going to be moving the tackle farther away from the guard and influencing that 4i to be able to either stick with the tackle or stay to the inside of the guard. So I think that's going to give you a little bit of an advantage in terms of a tell. So I think the key to going against a 4i is you need to keep him off balance. So the first thing, obviously, that you can kind of play around with is reading him. And I think the midline run play is a good place to be able to start. Normally, when you're sitting here and you're running any type of read, the 4i is going to be a little bit tight and he's going to close a little bit fast. If you can get him to space out while sitting there and utilizing your smart splits, I think you can definitely play around with some of that. The military teams have been using midline and reading the interior guys for a long time. I do think it's something that you can put into your offense. It is going to be something that as a quarterback you're going to need to be aware of. It's going to be a lot quicker than if you're sitting there and reading somebody who's out on the edge because they're obviously in the inside of the box. So for the 10 personnel teams out there, I think one thing that you guys can really do is able to take advantage of the freeze speed option play that I think has become a little bit more popular throughout college football the past few years. We've seen Oklahoma dabble in it, Ohio State has sat there and run some things with it, and you've seen it creep a couple different ways in the NFL, and I think, again, the free speed option is going to be a good alternative to be able to create some separation. Again, this is all starting with having smart splits, so moving that tackle out, which is hopefully going to influence that defensive end to come out a little bit farther. He's still going to be in a 4i technically, but you're going to be able to create a little bit more separation because your tackle is farther detached from the rest of the offensive line. Now I know there's going to be a couple people out there that sit there and say, well, we can't widen the tackle out every single play because that's going to be such a major tell, and I understand the thinking behind that. However, I'm going to sit here and push back a little bit and say, I think if you're a team that doesn't see a tight front all the time, I think that's going to be a little bit less of an area of concern. And if you do see it on a regular basis, you probably want to be able to sit there and have some type of gap power game, because I do think that Dart is probably going to be one of the best ones to be able to run against this defense. So now for the gap guys in the group, I think the gap guys, the big thing that you can do is you can run Dart. Tackle wrap, which is also known as Dart, allows you to be able to block out with that guard and then utilize your tackle as being your power game player. I think one big component with this as well, in some of the smaller schools, there might be an opportunity to be able to basically flip-flop your guards, especially if you don't see the tight front that much, but utilize your guard at tackle for a week and allow him to still he's your primary puller, but that way you're able to sit there and work him. He's going to have an extra step to be able to go, but that gives you the opportunity to continue to run power, and I think dart is going to be the way to do that. Now, while running dart, I think there are a couple complements that you can end up using that are really going to help you. So I do have a clip that I'll put up right now, which is going to be same side dart, and that's going to be a counter play. So essentially you look like you're going to be running your regular offset action to the opposite side, but then you're going to end up coming back and running counter dart on the same side. I think this is a really good tune-up to be able to sit there and complement off of your regular dart game. And finally, I think along with both of those, I think the quarterback dart game has some opportunity here as well. Normally I would recommend that with a running back flare screen coming off the back. I think that's the best way to create separation within the defense. But quarterback dart, I think, is an opportunity of being able to utilize if you need to create some spacing, and it's a good complement. The final one I'll give for the gap guys is going to be bash. It's going to be out of a 6-man run look, so you're going to have multiple guys. But I do think this is another great opportunity to take advantage of the 4-eye. And again, all of these are going to be predominantly based off of creating space by utilizing that tackle to spread them out. Because just because somebody is in a 4-eye alignment, if you move your tackle out, there's a good chance he's going to end up coming with, which is going to create that 5 technique or wider defensive end alignment while still sitting there and giving you the opportunity to run the ball. So I've given you a couple ideas of things to think about. I know that there's a multitude more, but I wanted to keep it relatively simple. I think the most important thing that you can do with a 4-eye is just keeping him off balance. That's why I've given you opportunities of being able to read him, whether it's midline dive or a free speed option type play, or if you're a power team, dart, and some of the complements that we sat there and talked about. The counter, same side dart, and then the quarterback dart. Let me know down in the comments which options you think are best utilized against a tight front, and maybe which ones you want to steer clear from. As in every video, I'm going to be giving away my weekly suggestion sheet, and this is a good one to be able to have and put in your Google Sheets and your Google Drive for all of your coaches to have access to, so that way you guys can be constantly communicating with what the options are for the coming week. Stay ready, and we'll see you in the next one.